Have you ever wondered why Christmas, a celebration that millions of people around the world associate with joy, family, and the birth of Christ, has so many traditions that seem to have little to do with the Bible? What if I told you that Christmas, as we know it today, has far more complex and darker origins than you might imagine? What if the roots of these traditions were not Christian at all, but instead tied to ancient pagan rituals, occult practices, and a hidden history that has been obscured over centuries? In this video, we'll take you on a journey to explore the origins of Christmas, unveiling how it's been molded by centuries of cultural evolution and how the true meaning of many of its symbols could be much darker and older than you think. From the seemingly innocent Christmas tree to the jolly figure of Santa Claus, the holiday is a blend of Christianity and ancient practices that date back to the Roman Empire, Norse traditions, and even ancient fertility cults. The truth is that the Christmas we celebrate today may look very different from what its early founders intended. Many of the beloved symbols and customs, such as the giving of gifts, feasting, decorating, and even the date itself, have roots in pagan winter solstice celebrations. These practices weren't just about feasts and fun. They were part of religious ceremonies that invoked ancient gods and spirits. At the heart of this exploration is the question, why would the Christian Church adopt such pagan customs? The answer might shock you. It was a strategic move, a deliberate effort to assimilate and convert populations who already had deeply entrenched winter rituals. By taking these customs and Christianizing them, the Church hoped to create a seamless transition between old beliefs and new ones. However, as we dig deeper, it becomes clear that this blending of traditions may have inadvertently kept the pagan spirit of the solstice alive in the holiday we now cherish. Let's begin with the date itself, December 25th. While most Christians today believe this date marks the birth of Jesus Christ, it's important to know that there is no biblical evidence to support this. In fact, early Christians didn't celebrate Christ's birth at all. It wasn't until the 4th century that the Church officially decided to adopt December 25th as Jesus' birthday. But why this specific date? It wasn't chosen randomly. It coincided with the Roman festival of Saturnalia, a week-long celebration held in honor of Saturn, the god of agriculture, who was thought to bestow prosperity on the people. During Saturnalia, Roman citizens exchanged gifts, decorated their homes with greenery, and celebrated with wild feasts. Sound familiar? But Saturnalia wasn't the only festival happening around this time. December 25th also marked the Roman festival of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, a day that celebrated the rebirth of the sun after the winter solstice. This was an important day for many ancient civilizations, who believed the sun's return after the darkest days of the year symbolized hope and renewal. As Christianity spread throughout the Roman Empire, early Christian leaders began to realize that they could incorporate the symbolism of the sun's rebirth into the celebration of Christ's birth, linking the two in a way that would make Christianity more palatable to pagans. They didn't see this as dishonoring Jesus, but rather as using existing symbols to convey a new Christian message. Yet, the blending of Christianity with these ancient practices didn't stop at the calendar date. The customs that accompanied the winter solstice celebrations were carried over as well, including the use of candles and lights to symbolize the return of the sun and the exchange of gifts, a practice that originated as a way of honoring gods and spirits during the winter festivals. By merging these elements with the story of Christ's birth, early Christians effectively created the modern Christmas we know today. But they were not alone in doing so. Across Europe, pagan cultures had their own winter traditions, many of which centered around the same themes of rebirth, light, and celebrating the return of the sun. In the Norse tradition, for example, the Yule festival involved burning a Yule log, feasting, and giving gifts to honor the gods and spirits. The Yule tree, a symbol of life and fertility, was often decorated with offerings to ward off evil spirits and to ensure the fertility of the land in the coming year. These customs would later merge with Christian traditions, becoming integral parts of the holiday season. As we continue to unravel the complex web of Christmas's origins, it becomes clear that this holiday is not just a Christian celebration, but a fusion of ancient beliefs, practices, and rituals from a wide range of cultures. Some might say that the very foundation of Christmas was built upon the bones of paganism, and while many of these customs have been adapted and sanitized over time, their true origins can still be felt in the way we celebrate today. So why does all of this matter? Why should we care about the pagan roots of Christmas? For some, it might seem irrelevant, a mere curiosity of history. But for others, understanding the deeper, hidden history of Christmas can reveal the tension between faith and tradition, between the old and the new, and between the sacred and the secular. It's a reminder that the holiday season is not just a time for joy and giving, but also a time to reflect on the complex history that shapes our traditions today. As we dig deeper into this story, we'll explore how these ancient practices continue to influence the way we celebrate Christmas, and why it's essential to understand where these traditions come from if we are to fully appreciate the holiday's deeper meaning. Stay tuned as we dive into the fascinating and mysterious origins of Christmas and uncover the pagan influences that continue to shape the way we celebrate this beloved holiday. The date of December 25th is perhaps one of the most significant aspects of Christmas, yet it holds a secret that many people overlook. While Christmas is officially celebrated as the birth of Jesus Christ, there is no biblical basis for this date. In fact, early Christians did not celebrate the birth of Christ at all. It wasn't until the 4th century that the Church formally designated December 25th as the day to commemorate Jesus' birth. So why this specific date? The answer lies in ancient pagan traditions, specifically the Roman festival of Saturnalia and the celebration of Sol Invictus. Saturnalia, a festival dedicated to the god Saturn, was one of the most important and widely celebrated holidays in ancient Rome. It began on December 17th and culminated on December 23rd, but the days surrounding it were marked by revelry, feasting, and the exchange of gifts. It was a time of merrymaking, with slaves and masters exchanging roles and everyone participating in a week-long celebration. Saturnalia honored the return of the sun after the darkest days of the year, celebrating the rebirth of light. Simultaneously, December 25th marked the festival of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, a day that symbolized the sun's return after the winter solstice. In the ancient Roman calendar, the solstice was the darkest day of the year, and people celebrated the triumph of light over darkness. The idea of the rebirth of the sun was powerful to many ancient cultures, representing hope and renewal. The Romans believed that the sun would grow stronger from this point onward, bringing warmth and prosperity. This belief was deeply embedded in their spiritual practices. As Christianity spread across the Roman Empire, early Christian leaders faced a challenge: how to convert the large pagan population that still adhered to these powerful and deeply rooted beliefs. One solution was to co-opt the date of December 25th and its associated symbols. Instead of fighting against the popularity of these festivals, the Church embraced them, reframing the celebration of the sun's rebirth as a Christian symbol of Christ's birth, positioning Jesus as the true light of the world. This allowed Christians to celebrate during a time already filled with joy and festivity, while also maintaining their own spiritual meaning. This strategic decision had a lasting impact on the way Christmas is celebrated today. Many of the traditions and symbols associated with Christmas, such as the exchange of gifts, feasting, and even the use of candles and lights to symbolize the return of light, are direct descendants of these pagan solstice celebrations. The Church may have intended to Christianize these practices, but the legacy of ancient rituals remains embedded in the heart of the holiday. The adoption of December 25th as the official day for celebrating Christ's birth was not only a matter of convenience, but also a calculated move to ensure that the pagan populace would more easily accept Christianity. By blending pagan customs with Christian theology, the Church created a seamless transition from old traditions to new beliefs. But in doing so, it also preserved the symbolism of the winter solstice, allowing the ancient celebration of light and rebirth to live on under a Christian guise. So when we celebrate Christmas on December 25th, we are not just marking the birth of Jesus, but also participating in a celebration that has deep ancient roots in the pagan past. Whether consciously or not, we are honoring traditions that have been passed down through millennia, traditions that originally celebrated the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. One of the most iconic symbols of Christmas is the Christmas tree, which, while often decorated with lights, ornaments, and tinsel today, has a long and ancient history that traces back to pagan rituals of the winter solstice. The Yule tree, as it was originally known, is deeply connected to Norse and Germanic traditions, where it symbolized life, fertility, and the promise of renewal during the darkest days of the year. In Norse mythology, the Yule festival, or Yuletide, celebrated the rebirth of the sun, a concept deeply tied to the solstice. The winter solstice, occurring around December 21st or 22nd, marked the shortest day and longest night of the year. For ancient peoples, this was a time of both fear and hope, the fear that the sun might not return and the hope that it would. As a way to honor the sun's return and encourage its strength, people would decorate evergreen trees, which were seen as symbols of life and resilience, with candles, fruits, and other offerings. The evergreens, which stayed green even through the harshest winters, were seen as a connection to the divine, a reminder that life persisted even in the coldest and darkest seasons. The tradition of decorating a tree to celebrate the solstice was not limited to the Norse. In ancient Rome, during the Saturnalia festival, Romans would adorn their homes and temples with greenery, including holly, ivy, and laurel. These plants were also seen as symbols of life and protection against evil spirits. The use of these evergreens during the winter months was widespread across many cultures and represented not only fertility, but also the magical power of nature to overcome darkness. As Christianity spread, these pagan customs were incorporated into the celebration of Christ's birth. Early Christians, much like with the celebration of December 25th, adapted these existing symbols into their own holiday rituals. The Yule tree became the Christmas tree, and the candles that once symbolized the rebirth of the sun began to represent the light of the world in the form of Jesus Christ. The evergreen itself, with its enduring green leaves, came to symbolize eternal life and resurrection, a concept closely tied to Christian theology. However, while the tree's Christian meaning is clear today, its pagan origins remain embedded in its symbolism. The act of decorating the tree, which is central to the Christmas celebration, still carries echoes of ancient rituals that were meant to honor the forces of nature, celebrate the sun's return, and invite blessings for the coming year. The use of lights, now associated with the birth of Christ, originally represented the sun's rebirth, lighting up the dark winter nights. The modern Christmas tree, often adorned with shimmering ornaments, has thus evolved from its ancient roots, but it still retains the essence of these old traditions. Whether one is aware of it or not, the tree stands as a reminder of the deeper, more primal celebrations that have surrounded the winter solstice for thousands of years. It speaks of life's endurance through hardship, the hope of renewal, and the triumph of light over darkness, universal themes that transcend both pagan and Christian beliefs. In this way, the Christmas tree serves as a powerful symbol of the fusion between ancient pagan practices and Christian theology, carrying with it centuries of history and meaning that continues to be celebrated by millions around the world today. Whether you see it as a Christian symbol, a cultural tradition, or a piece of nature, the Yule tree remains a testament to the ways in which human beings have long sought to understand and celebrate the mysteries of life, death, and rebirth. Santa Claus is one of the most beloved and universally recognized figures of Christmas, bringing joy and excitement to children around the world. His jolly laugh, red suit, and magical sleigh have become synonymous with the holiday season. But behind the modern image of Santa lies a much older, more complex history, one that intertwines pagan rituals, Christian saints, and ancient folklore. The modern figure of Santa Claus is often traced back to Saint Nicholas, a Christian bishop from the 4th century, known for his generosity and kindness, particularly towards children. Saint Nicholas became a popular figure in many European cultures, with his feast day celebrated on December 6th. However, the connection between Saint Nicholas and Christmas is more a product of cultural evolution than a direct historical link to the birth of Jesus. Before Saint Nicholas, many cultures already had their own gift-bringers during the winter solstice. In Norse mythology, the god Odin was a central figure in the Yule celebrations. He was said to ride an 8-legged horse, Sleipnir, across the night sky, bringing gifts and rewards to the faithful. This myth was particularly influential in Scandinavia, where Odin's presence during the Yule season inspired traditions of gift-giving and merrymaking. The image of Odin with his long white beard and cloak bears a striking resemblance to the modern Santa Claus. Similarly, other cultures across Europe had their own winter gift-bringers. In Germany, the figure of the Christkind, Christ child, was said to deliver gifts to children on Christmas Eve. In the Netherlands, the character of Sinterklaas, a version of Saint Nicholas, became the precursor to the American Santa Claus. Dutch settlers brought the Sinterklaas tradition to the United States in the 18th century, where it gradually morphed into the Santa Claus we know today, largely influenced by the merging of Christian and folk traditions. Santa's appearance, as we know it, his red suit, white beard, and rosy cheeks, was solidified in the 19th century through the popularization of illustrations, especially in the works of artist Thomas Nast, whose drawings for Harper's Weekly portrayed Santa in a way that resonated with the growing commercialism of Christmas. However, the most significant boost to Santa's modern image came from the Coca-Cola Company in the 1930s, which used Santa Claus in its holiday advertisements, further cementing the image of a jolly, plump, and red-suited figure. Yet, behind this cheerful image, the roots of Santa Claus go deeper into pagan traditions and mythology. The idea of a gift-bringer during the winter solstice, whether Odin, Sinterklaas, or the Christkind, was tied to ancient customs of honoring gods and spirits during the darkest time of the year. These figures were often associated with the return of light and the hope for prosperity in the coming year, much like the ancient solstice celebrations that celebrated the rebirth of the sun. The act of gift-giving, which is now so central to Christmas, also has its roots in these ancient practices. During the Saturnalia festival in ancient Rome, it was customary for people to exchange gifts as part of the celebrations, a tradition that was later absorbed into Christmas festivities. Even the image of Santa's sleigh, often pulled by reindeer, has echoes of older myths, where gods and spirits were said to travel through the night sky in chariots or sleighs, delivering gifts or blessings. Thus, Santa Claus is not just a figure of Christian tradition, but a fusion of pagan, Christian, and folk customs that have evolved over centuries. His transformation from a saintly bishop to a jolly, magical figure represents the blending of cultural and religious influences with elements of both the sacred and the secular intertwined in the celebration of Christmas. While he may be seen today as a symbol of Christian charity and goodwill, his origins are far more complex, a reflection of humanity's long-standing desire to honor the darkness of winter and celebrate the promise of light and renewal. While Christmas has deep religious and cultural roots, one of the most striking aspects of modern Christmas is its transformation into a global consumer holiday, driven by the commercialization of the season. What began as a time of religious observance, community gatherings, and reflection has become, for many, a highly commercialized event marked by consumerism, shopping, and the exchange of material goods. But how did this shift occur, and what does it say about the intersection of holiday traditions and modern capitalism? The commercialization of Christmas can be traced back to the 19th century, particularly in the United States, when mass production and consumer goods began to reshape society. The rise of industrialization brought about new economic opportunities, and the holiday season became a prime opportunity for businesses to capitalize on the increased spending power of consumers. The spread of Christmas cards, decorations, and gift-giving practices marked the beginning of the shift toward a more consumer-oriented holiday. One pivotal moment in this transformation was the popularization of Christmas shopping. As retail stores began to open during the holiday season and with the advent of the department store in the late 1800s, Christmas shopping became a national pastime. The establishment of iconic events like the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York and the opening of major holiday sales created a consumer frenzy that would only grow over the decades. Christmas became not just a time for family gatherings, but also a time for people to buy gifts for loved ones, co-workers, and even themselves. The creation of iconic Christmas ads, such as the famous Coca-Cola advertisements featuring Santa Claus, helped solidify the connection between Christmas and commercialism. These ads, which presented Christmas as a time for generosity, family, and joy, were often used to sell products and reinforce the idea of the holiday as a time for gift-giving. Coca-Cola's involvement in shaping the modern image of Santa Claus, as discussed earlier, was one of the first examples of how corporations could use holiday imagery to promote their brand and boost sales. By the mid-20th century, Christmas had evolved into an event where consumerism and the exchange of material goods took center stage. The rise of commercial television, along with the widespread use of advertising, further reinforced this new version of the holiday, encouraging consumers to spend money on gifts, food, decorations, and travel. The pressure to purchase the perfect gift for friends and family, the emphasis on extravagant holiday shopping sales, and the growing trend of gift wrapping all contributed to the commercialization of Christmas. No longer was the holiday just about the religious celebration of Christ's birth. It had become a significant economic event. One of the more controversial aspects of this commercialization is the way it has shifted the focus of the holiday away from its religious and spiritual roots. For many, Christmas is no longer primarily about celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ, but rather about participating in a shopping spree and indulging in consumer goods. The increasing materialism of Christmas is sometimes seen as a distortion of the holiday's original meaning. Churches and religious leaders often speak out against the commercialized version of Christmas, calling for a return to the holiday's spiritual significance and a focus on charity, kindness, and generosity without the pressure of excessive spending. Furthermore, the commercialization of Christmas is not confined to the United States. Globalization has ensured that the consumer-driven aspects of the holiday have spread around the world, with countries across Europe, Asia, and Latin America increasingly embracing the shopping frenzy that comes with Christmas. Global corporations now target Christmas shoppers with specialized holiday campaigns, and Christmas-themed merchandise is a staple in stores worldwide. As a result, Christmas has become a global phenomenon, not just in terms of its religious observance, but also as a massive economic driver that generates billions of dollars in retail sales annually. In conclusion, the commercialization of Christmas has transformed it from a religious holiday into a global consumer spectacle. The rise of shopping, advertising, and mass-produced goods has reshaped the way people celebrate the season, making it as much about spending money and purchasing gifts as it is about family, faith, and tradition. While many continue to embrace the material side of the holiday with joy and excitement, it raises important questions about the true meaning of Christmas and whether its original spiritual significance has been overshadowed by the demands of modern capitalism. Ultimately, this shift reflects the broader societal changes brought about by globalization, consumerism, and the commercialization of cultural traditions.